What's more fun than going up against a boss that bashes your head in again and again without remorse? Or a boss that's disappointingly easier than many of the challenges faced up to that point? Well, a boss that runs the heck away, prompting your pursuit for any chance at ending the ordeal. Let's take a look at 15 such bosses here. General Michiel, Strider. General Michiel has no qualms about attacking from afar and then retreating when Strider approaches. And you can kind of respect that strategy, but as a boss fight, having to chase him through several rooms before he finally hops into his tank and stands his ground, it's interesting, that's for sure. Harley Quinn, Lego Batman. Look, we're not trying to say Harley Quinn has to go toe-to-toe with Batman and hold her own. That would be just ridiculous. And when we saw it happen in Batman Arkham City as one example, she was easily disarmed. But in Lego Batman, she just backflips in a circle as Batman and Robin chase her. It's hilarious to witness, which is probably the point. Eventually, she gets tired and you can hit her once. Good job. Then the fight continues. Omnigul, Destiny's The Dark Below DLC. Remember the good old days of nuking and farming Omnigul for that one weapon that had incredibly low chances of being a great roll? Everyone else will probably remember Omnigul for shrieking constantly and running away as you chased her through Old Russia. Eventually, she's cornered in a death room with too many enemies, which was incredibly horrifying with Arc or Solar Burn active. All monsters evolve. Every monster runs away and evolve. The twist isn't that they're controlled by other flesh and blood players, but that running away, feeding on wildlife, and gaining experience is necessary to leveling up. Upon growing stronger, these monsters will evolve and be ready to take on hunters or assault the map's objectives and win. The hunters, in turn, have to run across the map and track the monster to eventually slay it. Wait a minute, this kind of reminds us of Almost All Monsters, Monster Hunter World. Except for Zora Magdaros, who kind of ran away in his own way, pretty much every monster spends an ample amount of time fleeing from the player. Even the hyper-aggressive Nergigante and Deviljho would retreat to rest and gather their strength. Learning to navigate the environments and track these monsters, taking advantage of their slumbering states for massive damage, was key in many hunts. Million Gunman, No More Heroes 2 Desperate Struggle. Million Gunman doesn't quite have you chasing him. Instead, he unleashes an incredibly annoying attack that can ricochet and hit you from anywhere, while also being unblockable. Getting to him is annoying thanks to the platforming elements, but as soon as you do, he starts retreating or taking cover to avoid your attacks, making life difficult overall. The Frost King, Castle Crashers. Fancy going through some platforming and minions to reach a boss who spends half the time disappearing as well as fighting? How about doing all of that while battling on ice, which has its own wacky physics to deal with? The Frost King was especially annoying to deal with in Castle Crashers, especially when so many of his attacks were area of effect and moving away from them was a pain due to the ice surfaces. Ceramic Smile, Killer 7. The Ceramic Smile in Killer 7 is either weirdly brilliant or stupidly designed, we're not sure. He constantly runs away if you look at him, making it difficult to shoot his heart. So, how do you beat him? Well, you just wait for him to turn the corner while you're aiming and shoot him. It's that easy. Hilariously enough, if he touches you, the persona in question dies, so it's not like you can wait for him to get close. Eddie Nucci, The Punisher. The Punisher is a pretty bad game, and Eddie is an extremely annoying boss on top of that. Constantly fleeing is one thing, but he runs through a maze, leaving you to kill enemies that constantly spawn. Also, you can only do so much damage when catching him before he runs off again. Stunning boss design, we know. Taggart, Prototype. In the first Prototype, Taggart futilely attempts to escape Alex in his tank. We say futilely because Alex can easily catch up to him to the point of riding on his tank until the prompt appears to devour him. Sure, some other tanks will pop up and try to stop you, but they're little more than fodder in this fight. Hideaki, Sengoku Basara. Sengoku Basara is full of bosses that want you to pursue them. Hideaki isn't the worst, but he's still annoying, and you need to constantly chase him whenever he pops up. What's next, a boss that runs and hides until you capture a base near him by luck, thus causing him to emerge? Surely the developer would not do that. Electro and Beetle, Ultimate Spider-Man. Insomniac's Spider-Man had its share of chase sequences for sure, but it wasn't all that bad given how excellent the movement felt. This isn't to say that Ultimate Spider-Man felt horrible to control, but it definitely wasn't that much fun chasing so many bosses around the city before fighting them. Electro and Beetle are just one example. It's actually kind of funny how often Electro is pursued in Spider-Man games. Davis White, Bully. Look at it this way, at least Davis White is a kid and would naturally choose to follow the flight part of his instinct. Once Jimmy chases him down, the fight takes place on a scaffold and Davis has no choice but to fight. Not the best set of circumstances for sure, but this is a Rockstar game. The End, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. The End is one of those bosses in the series that you both respect and feel annoyed by. There were people resetting the clocks on their PlayStation 2 system just to kill him of old age. That's how much they didn't want to deal with this nonsense. So what makes The End so dangerous? In addition to being an excellent sniper that can hit you almost anywhere, he keeps moving. You wouldn't think he'd be capable of moving so much, but he does, whether he's spotted or just to mess with you. Pro tip, snipe him at the warehouse when he first appears and skip this entire ordeal later. Uranus, Rez. Fighting Uranus in Area 4 of Rez is an intriguing experience as you're both racing down corridors. First, the player gives pursuit as Uranus changes forms, with the boss getting behind them at one point. However, eventually it assembles its parts into a living person and just wants to get away. Eventually it winds up behind you again, so don't feel too bad for killing it. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.